Welcome to Atelier Diary. I'm Jennifer Murray. Andrew Covington runs this website called Art School Database, and he asked if I would share my experiences going through Ravenswood, which is a small classical painting and drawing school. And this video is a summary for the blog post that I wrote on his website. And so in the description box, I'll have a link that goes to his website of the Art School Database. I've been going to the Ravenswood Atelier for about 3 years now, and atelier training is something that I'm really passionate about. So ever since I can remember, I knew I always wanted to be a great painter. So after high school, I went to college for painting. I thought that's just what you did. You go to a university to learn what you wanted to learn. And so I found some professors that I really liked their artwork, and so I went to their college. But I soon found out that they weren't really teaching their technique that they used to make their paintings, and they actually didn't really teach technique at all. So here's one of the very first paintings that I made in my college. And then this one's my last painting. And mind you, it took me 4 years to graduate, and so for 4 years I was really practicing painting all the time. But my point is, because they weren't teaching painting technique, there really isn't that much improvement between these two paintings. And so I was pretty frustrated when I graduated, so I spent a lot of time researching different art schools, and finally I came across classical painting and drawing ateliers. And then researching all about ateliers, I found out that they really treat painting as a craft. It's a talent that is directly proportionate to the amount of time that you put in purposeful practicing. The Ravenswood Atelier is based off in the 19th century ateliers of Western Europe. It teaches naturalism, which is a way of interpreting what you are seeing, which is the same style, for example, as Rembrandt, Bouguereau, or Sargent. And what I really like about this program is that it's really centered around the individual student. So it usually takes 4 years to complete, but kind of depending on how fast or slow you're grasping the concepts, it can be longer or shorter than that. 2 years are solely devoted to drawing. So you start out doing copies of Bargue lithographs, and these are all to train the accuracy of your eye. And then you move on to cast drawing, which is really all about learning value. You're also setting up the cast, so you're learning about composition and then also light design. And then you graduate onto painting and doing cast paintings, and they first start you off with a gray palette, and then you are adding more colors until you move up to the full color palette. And then you get to start painting still lifes. I don't have any examples of still lifes because I'm not there yet in the program. But the whole time that you're in the program, you're working every day from the live model, which I think is really good practice. I think the most important thing that I've learned while going through the Ravenswood Atelier is really how to see. It's not copying what you're seeing, but rather interpreting what you're seeing, so then you can really add maximum impact for your image. And this all deals with really drawing structure, simplifying, and compressing value. And it's really these three things that really form all of the guidelines on how to make a good painting or drawing. And they are guidelines, and it's not a formula. So it really gives you plenty of room to kind of add whatever painting style you want. I think it gives you a lot of freedom to really experiment and play around and try new things, and know that if you get too lost along the way, you can always fall back on these guidelines to kind of get you out of the weeds. And then there are these things that I'm learning that I wasn't even aware of before I started studying, like mostly just how absolutely complex value is. So we draw everything from life and under natural light. So then when you're looking at the thing that you're drawing, when you're looking at nature, there's absolutely no way that you could match value for value what you're seeing with the tools of pencil, charcoal, or painting, because it just doesn't have the fullest range of value that nature does. And so you need to understand value so well that you can compress what you're seeing. And when you do it right, you can actually make daylight in your painting. And I think that's just one of the coolest, most exciting things, but it really all comes down to like really understanding value. And the other thing that they're teaching me that I wasn't aware of before or didn't even think about is painting air, which is really putting the atmosphere in your painting. So it's really all about painting the air around the subject, but really most importantly, the air that is in between the viewer and the subject. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the attitude of going to an atelier. So really, to boil it down, I think the attitude is intensity, and then also really just pushing to always be better. I love the intensity of the atelier. It's really long days, and you're really working under the most challenging of conditions, which is working from life and also working from natural light. There's so many inconsistencies with doing those two things, But working under those challenges and learning how to deal with all of those challenges really helps you to be able to paint whatever you want to paint, no matter the circumstance. And the days are also really long, and I knew that you needed endurance for sports, but I never considered needing endurance for painting. But I'm finding that you really have to build up a stamina to stay focused and really critical all day long, but then that also just builds up this really nice work ethic. And then there is a really strong attitude towards self-improvement and always trying to be better and not stopping or settling at good, but always trying to really beat your personal best with each and every piece that you make. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten from my instructors is to look at the very best painters from history and let those always be your teachers. And sometimes before class or after school or during a break or something, I'll pull out a book on one of my favorite painters and I'll compare it to the painting that I'm working on. And while sometimes that can kind of be depressing because it's usually a pretty big gap of difference between their work and my work, but I really believe that atelier training is making it possible for me to one day achieve what these great master painters did, which is a complete mastery of the craft. If you like the format of these videos, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every video that I put out, it's all about painting, all about art, and everything that I'm learning while going through an atelier.